Irish Nation, welcome in to another episode of the Irish Football Pod. Today, we are talking quarterbacks. Connor, what's up, dude?
What's going on, fam? Doing good.
Excellent, buddy. Yeah, so, dude, let's jump right into it. Notre Dame quarterbacks for 2025. I've been saying it for I don't know, quite a few weeks now since the season ended. How the quarterback play formulates for 2025 and how that goes, that is I feel like the most major critical point of success for 2025.
Yep.
So it's like, are we going to go with a young guy or are we going to go with, someone who maybe doesn't have a lot of game experience, but has been around the program for a little bit?
hmm
So my first question to you, what are your thoughts on that? And who do you think it's going to be? Or who would you, I'll, I'll ask you two things in that. Who do you think it's going to be and who do you want it to be?
Yeah, uh, that's tough. I really think you gotta. Well, see, all the quarterbacks that are being chosen from uh, have been under Denbrock, right, for 1 year now. So it being Denbrock's decision, well, Freeman's decision ultimately, but Denbrock's been under, you know, these guys' wing for the past year. So I remember his first. He had some comments that said that Minchie was really kind of designed like Jaden Daniels. Could really extend plays with his arm, but a guy that could use his feet to break out of the pocket and still make throws or make big run plays. And I remember him comparing the two. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is more of a high tier caliber quarterback, but the comparisons are the same. Um, but to your questions, I think CJ Carr is going to win the job, and I hope he wins the job personally. I think he's got the highest ceiling out of all the quarterbacks on the roster. I think um, if you go back and watch that spring game from this past year, too, he was one of the better quarterbacks in that game. He showed some signs of just development, and he's not going to be perfect. That was his first real action on a field with college football athletes. So I think CJ Carr is going to ultimately win the job. I think he's the best quarterback out of the room, and I think that's what you want. You want the best QB that you have to be playing or to start your first game. So
Yeah, dude. And you mentioned that it might be Freeman's decision. I think you gotta let Denbrock decide. Like 100%, whoever he feels like is tailored and is playing the best in his offense and like with what he wants to do.
yeah,
I think you I hope Freeman kind of steps aside and says, "All right, like I trust you. Here's my input, but I agree with why you're going with this guy." Like I think it needs to be Denbrock's decision just because
yeah,
because of his track record and the players that he has developed. He has an eye for that type of talent. It's obvious. Like he should have that sole decision. Now, I'll say this, I I think it's got to be either CJ or Kenny. I think just starting Steve, I think he's got the lowest ceiling of the three. And if you start Steve and you end up going 10-2, 11-1, maybe undefeated, sure. But you also set yourself back another year,
yeah,
like just in terms of like high ceiling QB development. And who knows, like we might be not giving Steve enough credit, but that's just my thoughts on it. And I'm okay with potentially like taking a lick or two throughout the season as long as it's CJ or Kenny. If we're starting Steve and we're taking licks and we're taking a couple L's that maybe we should, that's when I'd be upset, right? Don't you agree with that?
yeah. I do, and it's of course it comes down to Notre Dame being in this situation, but when is it never a dull moment, right? In Notre Dame land. But when you look at Steve's full body of work, it's really not much. People talk and act like he's played a full season starting at the helm and then got beat out or something. We've only seen him start what one. He's only started one game, right?
Well, and unfortunately for him, his first couple years just was like, garbage time, fourth quarter stuff. He never really got a chance to start. He did start against Oregon State in the bowl game in Freeman's
Yeah.
second year. But that's it. That's the extent of his experience. And that's why I just think like you gotta go with the high ceiling, kind of risky call, either a redshirt freshman in CJ or a redshirt sophomore in Kenny, and just be like, okay, we're rolling the ball out. Whoever is balling in this offense, that's who we're giving this job to, and we're gonna see what happens. But like a lot of us said, it's easy to say that from a fan's perspective now,
What's
opposed
happening
to
right now? Who's throwing
like,
the best ball right now?
but what if the young guy goes out there and throws a couple picks in the first half against Miami and we're down? It's like, okay, well, maybe that wasn't the right choice. So
Right.
so many variables, and there's so much like
So many
to
dynamics.
so many dynamics that are going to play itself out.
Hmm.
You just don't know when you bring in that redshirt freshman quarterback. What if he just absolutely lights it up, comes in there confident, leading the offense? Like that is very possible too.
Hmm.
So, dude, I don't
You know
know,
what
but I think
I just thought about something while you were saying that is also like what I said before. You can look at the experience for Angeli and say maybe the best time he got was in that Orange Bowl, and he did show some composure to come into that situation, right? So that was cool to see, and that could go a decent ways for him, because that it's not easy to come into that situation. We were down 10-0. Riley got hurt. We needed to advance the football to even get a field goal at that point. So, that was a pretty strong showing in that moment.
dude, we won the game by 3 points. If we don't get those 3 points before half, thanks to Steve, maybe we go to overtime and lose. Like
Yeah.
Jeter's kick could have been to tie the game
Yep.
opposed to winning it. So, dude, all credit to Steve. I just think you've got more talent than the other two guys and more upside. I have no doubt that Steve could navigate us to a respectable, good season, maybe even to the playoff. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. But I do think the 2025 success truly sits on the quarterback. What type of play and how productive of play we get out of that is going to determine the season, because the O line is going to be great. The running backs are going to be there. He is going to have targets to throw to. It's just a matter of, can they be productive and really make a dent in like getting this offense going?
Yeah, and I also think too, you mentioned it just there, but the talent around the QB is really becoming near elite status, not at receiver yet, but you can say our running back and our offensive line have elite players. And that's ultimately going to help out the quarterback. It just makes their job easier. So we don't need him to come in and be a Trevor Lawrence necessarily. Like we don't. I don't think our team necessarily needs that. We just need a good enough quarterback to win the first stretch of games really. Because if the quarterback that we start can go in and win the first two games, we're going to be a pretty confident team, no matter who the QB is,
I mean,
right?
through
So
I was reading a couple articles today, just national guys talking about the season and like, dude, it's so front loaded for so many teams. Like, if we go in, and we'll do a show on this too, but we go in and beat Miami and beat A&M at home, we're gonna have one of the most impressive 2-game records to start the season. Um, so we'll be square in the playoff picture at that point. You know,
oh, for sure, yep,
But obviously, we got hard games after that. Boise at home, Arkansas on the road, USC at home, all before Halloween. So I mean, the matchups are crazy. So Yeah, dude. We'll see what happens here. I personally think it's probably going to be CJ as well. Just the highly touted kid. He probably has the most arm talent in the room. Uh,
I think he
it's
has
going to
the
be
best
tough.
IQ too. The IQ is really big in the QB position. I think his IQ is gonna shine throughout spring, and then I think he's really gonna learn the playbook in the summer. Really lock into that, and when it comes around the fall camp, I think he's gonna win the job.
When you think about it too, he joined the squad when they were preparing for Oregon State in December. So he's had a full year. He's had a bowl prep, a spring, a fall, and he's going to have
Kind
another
of
spring
hindered
and a
by the
summer and a
elbow.
fall.
He was a little bit hindered by the elbow injury, but he's back to 100%, and he's. I heard he's throwing the rock. He can throw it 60 yards if he has to.
Yeah, barring any additional stuff with the elbow, I think it's pretty much his to lose. But I could see Kenny making a run for it too, dude. Like Kenny is
Yeah.
talented, and he fits Denbrock's scheme. So if he gets in there and plays with some confidence and practice in the bowl or the spring game and kind of shows some flashes, like I think he's going to be right there too. So, and then just the intangibles of Steve, like his IQ's up there as well. He might not be the most athletic guy, but the intangibles that he brings, his smarts, his throwing ability, like he's not going to sit down or sit back either. Like he's going to go after this thing as well.
He's an underrated quarterback. I just don't know if he's the starting quarterback for Notre Dame. So it's
And that's
just tough.
okay. That's
Tough.
okay. Like when he needed to come in the Orange Bowl and kind of put a drive together, dude, he did
He
it,
did it,
man.
man. He did it. He could have
That
easily thrown a pick six, thrown fumbled
I mean,
snap.
he got blasted in the back. We just fortunately recovered it.
Yeah,
Like he comes in, he gets hit in the back. That's what happens.
that play was nuts when you go back and watch it. Actually, the battle of the O lineman and D lineman
Yeah.
for
Our
the ball.
Abdul Carter for Penn State 100% should have got that, but our
Who was
guy,
it?
I don't know,
Was it Jagusa that came
was it
in?
Jagasaw? I don't know. I don't remember who got it, but we literally stole it in the bottom of the pile. It was a
Oh man,
crazy play.
what a game! What a game!
Yep. All right, man. Good stuff. Yeah, I think we can both agree there's a lot riding on the quarterback position here. I think both of us think that CJ Carr ultimately is going to take the starting job. He's going to be given the opportunity. I think he's going to earn it. He's going to be given the opportunity. It's just a matter of what he does with it. So I think that's it.
That's another interesting part to the dynamic is the competition in it, right? We haven't seen a competition. We've seen for the past couple of years, we know who the starter was going to be. We haven't seen a true quarterback competition in a few years now. It's been some years, so that'll be interesting.
We had Cone transfer from Wisconsin. He was going to start no matter what. Then we had the Buckner Pioneer, but Buckner was basically the only one on the roster. Pine was your number 2, so it was basically Buckner, right? Like there really wasn't a competition there. Then you brought in Sam, and then you brought in Riley. So for the past 4 years, like there hasn't really been a lot of competition. This is going to be healthy for the Irish to not only have a competition this year, but just to establish this is going to be a competitive room, like here on out. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
so
it is. Definitely excited for that position group in the future.
yeah, if we can, hold on to CJ and Kenny for another year or two, that's going to be good for the depth. We got Noah Grubbs coming in. Obviously, we'll keep reloading, but with Noah Grubbs coming in, if you've got CJ, Kenny, and Noah, you've got a solid little QB room there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, man. Well, good stuff. Obviously, we both think this is a critical aspect of 2025. Happy to, talk about it a little bit tonight. Like, comment, subscribe. The views are going up on the channel, dude. Fired up about it. Like people are watching it, and
Hit that sub. Hit
yeah,
that sub.
hit that sub. Drop a comment too. Let us know. Who do you think's starting for the Irish in 2025 at the QB
Yeah.
position? Let us
Yeah,
know.
it'd be cool to hear your thoughts.
All right, man. As always, go Irish. We'll talk to you guys later.
Yep, go Irish.